they did.
Yeah, we bring in our friend Tom Murphy, courtesy of the Arkansas Beef Council here on the Lewis Automotive Group hotline. Does that ring a bell, Tom? Tommy was quick to snap to with Jim McKay. Does that ring a bell with you?
Man, if you're a certain age, you know what that music meant. The dude, going off the high slope.
Yeah, that's the first thing I saw. Got tumbling down the hill.
And I tell you, man, I'm a sports person, and that music and that show was kind of one of the reasons it was so dramatic.
Yeah.
And, for our generation, or I'm older than you, Tommy, it was just emblematic of the thrill of sports, man. It was something else.
The thrill of victory, the agony of defeat. The way he delivered those lines, too. I mean, that became, part of a cliche in our society. It became one of them one-liners you'd repeat. It
really did. Yeah. It really, really did. And, it's etched in our memories. And I think the Super 70 Sports Twitter account, that's one of the T-shirts that guy sells. I think his name's Ricky Cobb, is the skier going down that slope because, Super 70 Sports, man.
We got invited, our intramural team at the University of Arkansas, for the Disney complex made it the wide world of sports. They kind of transformed it after this debut. We couldn't go, but have you ever had a cheer competition or anything?
Not there, but I know exactly where it's at. I know exactly where you're talking about. Yeah.
Okay. I thought that was a cool way to segue into our conversation with Tom this morning. Tom, the Missouri State game's been canceled tonight. Arkansas gets a little bit more rest prior to this game against Texas this weekend. How beneficial do you think it's going to be for this baseball team not having to bus over to Springfield and play this game tonight, save some pitching for Thursday and beyond?
Yeah, it's really hard to say whether it'll be good or bad for them. I mean, they're in a little bit. I mean, it's hard to call it a tailspin, but it's certainly the biggest struggles they've had this year. And maybe in the long run, it'll be good that they didn't have to bus 2 hours, play a game, bus 2 hours, and that they're rested because they've got to get it back together. They got to get more length out of their starters. I mean, but who had Gage Wood combining for a shutout in his second start back from his deal? So I think Root and Vital Cheese, they've got to get more out of them. And honestly, as Dave pointed out after the final game at Florida, clutch hitting. They had a ton of it early on, and we kind of grew to expect it. And now that they're in this little struggle bus, they have a 5-run inning and they lead 5-1, but they can't hold on to the lead. So there's some issues to work out, and you're playing the number 1, number 2, and number 6 teams in the country to finish out the season. That's pretty tough.
They're not getting quality starts, as you mentioned, out of their starters right now. They're only as good right now, it seems to be, as the bullpen in most cases. And is losing Nolan Souza, is that kind of the point where this team turned, and that was the crossroads moment? Because that seems like where this team changed, or was that just a function of schedule as well?
Well, that's tough to answer with any definitive, rationale. It was the Georgia series, and it was the first one they lost. And, Gabe Frazier has hit the ball pretty well. Defensively, I don't know if it's been that costly, but, it's certainly a piece to everything that's happened. I think in their heart of hearts, they feel like if they get Parker Coyle back and Wood continues to pitch well, they can catch fire again offensively and resemble the team they were when they were number 1 in the country for several weeks in a row and all firing on all cylinders. So it's hard to put your finger on exactly how do we get our mojo back, and it's going to be tough with these 3 series. But I think if they can go 500 or 5-4, 4-5 these last 9 games, they still have a really good shot at being a regional host.
Yeah, and I think even a top 8 national seed and a super regional host as well. I know this because we've seen it for 20-plus years. There's few better at turning things around than Dave Van Horn. And we're getting to that point soon where no more class schedules to work around. It's 100% baseball. You get to act and be treated like a pro, and it's all day, every day. This may be one of the more difficult turnaround jobs. We'll see how it goes this weekend, but, Dave Van Horn knows how to circle the wagons better than anyone.
He's really good at it. We've seen it happen time and again. And as we talked about with the starting pitching depth, with the length of their starts, I like their middle relief right now. I mean, you're talking about Gabe Gackle, Aiden Jimenez can give you 4 innings on a given day. I know that they might prefer if he goes, 1 2/3 on Friday and then can help you finish out Sunday. It didn't work out for them against Georgia. He had pitched a lot more innings Friday, but if they could get him to two shorter stints on the weekend, and you got Dylan Carter, and you got Gabe Gackle, who, the Wood Gackle start against Florida was phenomenal. That they can piece things together, and they got to get a little bit more. They got to get more quality out of McIntyre and some of the other guys. And of course, Wiggins might be done for the year after his situation, so that hurts him some too. But maybe you get Coyle back as they're expecting, and it helps things out from a left-hand perspective.
Tom Murphy, Hogs Sports, Arkansas Democrat-Gazette, with us here on the Lewis Automotive Group hotline, brought to you by the Arkansas Beef Council. Tom, I made the statement earlier in this last hour that, this team could potentially be in danger of losing national seed. You kind of just referred to it there. Is this a scenario where they could drop out, not necessarily regional, like still be a top 16, but could they drop out of the top 8 these next 3 weekends?
Well, look at the quality of the competition they're about to play. Texas has a 5-game lead. That is hard to picture with 9 games left to play.
They could clinch this weekend. They could clinch this weekend.
It's unbelievable. And then now you got a lot of teams nipping at Arkansas's heels. With that LSU was tied with them, and then you got a series of teams that are 13-8 in league play. So Arkansas could fall behind the Tennessees, and I think Alabama and Vandy. There's several teams,
LSU.
Ole Miss, that are right there. So like I said, I think if they're 4-5, 5-4, they're in good shape and maybe top 8. But let's say you go 2-7 somehow, you get swept somewhere along the way, or you go 3-6. Then it's a different story. Then you're probably behind a few teams. Yeah. And when it comes to pecking order, how many SEC teams are going to host and be in line for super regionals? We don't know that, but you don't want to finish the way Arkansas had. You don't want to finish by losing your last. Could it be 6 series in a row? You don't want that. That puts you in jeopardy.
It's kind of interesting because I remember, I'm 99% sure that 22 team did not end the season on a high tone. They lost lost a couple series down the stretch, and then they went to Stillwater, Oklahoma, beat Rock Riggio and company. Then they went to Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and beat a national seed and ended up in Omaha. So it is kind of odd to see how this team kind of goes back and forth.
But is that enough just to end up in Omaha? I think we're past that, right? For a team that's been number one a lot of weeks. Guys, is that enough just to get to Omaha?
I think it just hurts. It hurts fans. I don't know if feeling's the right word. Pride. It angers them when they see so many SEC teams that keep winning, and Arkansas is not that team. Like anytime, like when Vitello won it,
but it's not like
last
football.
Year.
In football, you're not competitive with those other teams. At least you're nationally competitive with all the teams in baseball. You don't have that box check like Tennessee, like Ole Miss, like Mississippi State, but Tom, we're not competitive nationally in football. We're competitive nationally. We may not have a national championship, but you're not going to convince me that those programs Ty just listed are any better baseball programs than what Arkansas has just because they have a natty.
Exactly. Arkansas is certainly way up there. And if you add up since 2016, the last year they didn't make the postseason, their record would stack up with anybody. And it's probably better than LSU's in conference, better than Tennessee's in conference since 2016. So I'll answer your question. I think making it to Omaha this year would be enough. Now, once you get there, it's a roll of the dice. How your pitching lines up, your overall health. Do you catch fire there? Arkansas was hitting 320, and might still be hitting 320. That's phenomenal for them given recent years. So, I think with the schedule they have left. And then, forget about Hoover. If they go 0-2 or 0-1 in Hoover, it doesn't matter. If they can go 4-5, 5-4, I think they got a host situation. And look, if they don't, there's no specific formula. The 22 team came up with all that clutch play, as you mentioned, in Stillwater and then in Chapel Hill, and made it as well, and advanced in 22. So I don't know. That's the great mystery of college baseball. And you got Mississippi State, which won it just a few years ago, and now Chris Lamonis is already out of a job.
Yeah.
While Dave Van Horn and his program are, they're a powerhouse. There's no question about it.
Yeah. Tom Murphy, Whole Hog Sports, with us on the Lewis Automotive Group hotline. It's brought to you by the Arkansas Beef Council. Let's change gears because it's not been a great PR 7 days for the football program. With things happening as we discussed last week, and Madden leaving the program, taking the money, and then you've got the state law that was passed kind of late on Friday that we learned about, and then Arkansas suing to get some of that money back. Tom, it's been a rough week or so for Sam Pittman, Hunter Yurchek, and the football program from a PR perspective.
A little sticky, but I'm with Hunter Yurchek on this, and maybe it's just me being old school, but you sign a contract, and we talked about this late last week. You are dealing with a business situation. You might be 18 or 19 years old, but these are contracts. And the way I understand it, though, if he signed for roughly $500, he doesn't have all that money. He's gotten some of it, but of what remains, which is believed to be about $400,000, that he won't be paid. Arkansas wants $200 of that back because he broke the stipulations of the contract. So I don't know when it gets resolved. I don't know how it's going to go. But having Tom Mars on your side is a really good start. Mm-hmm. And the Dasmond James one, from the sound of his lawyer talking to CBS Sports, he signed the deal and then left just a few days later. Wasn't paid anything. If this is accurate, and it's really a matter of recouping what Arkansas. What was in the deal. So I don't blame Arkansas for being at the front edge of this, just like Hunter was at the front edge of the buyouts for coaches when you have a lousy record. Yeah. So it may be a PR hit they've taken, but I guarantee you a lot of schools are very happy. And apparently it's been happening at some other schools, and it just hasn't been as public as it's been at Arkansas with Madden Iamaleava.
What's your take? What was your reaction when you heard the news that the state legislature had passed legislation allowing athletes in Arkansas that had NIL and revenue sharing agreements to not pay the state tax on that? What was your reaction to that?
Well, my reaction was I had read a story a few weeks ago where I think in Georgia it's the same. There's some stuff in Texas that's very advantageous to holding on to your athletes from a tax perspective. I mean, if you're competing with schools in California, you got them whipped because apparently there's a huge state tax there. So I think it just puts Arkansas more on par. I mean, Missouri's got very favorable state legislation to help with NIL recruitment. It's just the way legislatures have gone, and they understand the function of college football in the operation of a state and the way people view their state. So, I mean, I'm not opposed to the fact that they've done that. I think it puts them more on the playing field with, like, Tennessee's got some state laws as well.
Last one, and we'll let you go. Do you think this creates somewhat more of a divide or a canyon between the fans and the university, the athletic department, and the athletes now?
Well, look, the older fans that I deal with are very frustrated with the whole scenario. And basically what used to be totally forbidden, buying players, is now, I mean, there was a couple of years where other schools were building up. A&M and Ole Miss, their collectives got rolling really fast, and it put Arkansas behind. I mean, there's no question about that. And so there's a frustration level. They haven't been able to stack up the talent. It's hard for me to say for, like, an entire fan base how they feel. There may be younger people in Ty's generation who are all for as much NIL as you can do, and thank you, state legislature, for doing this. I want to have a more competitive football team. But Arkansas is a couple of steps away from being thought of as even like a middle-tier competitor in the SEC right now based on what we've seen from the last 6 years of NIL.
Yeah. Tom will put a pin in it. We'll pick it up Thursday and get ready for it. Arkansas, Texas, Thursday, Friday, Saturday series at Ball Walker.
Gonna heat up, boys. Hey, always enjoy the convo, guys.
All right.
See ya.
Tom
Hey, buddy.
Murphy with us, Arkansas Democrat-Gazette, Whole Hog Sports on the Lewis Automotive Group hotline.
BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for all your sports betting action. Baseball season is in full swing, and we're into the home stretch for NBA and NHL playoffs. BetOnline has more ways to stay in on the action with the latest odds, news, and scores, even live in-game betting while the games are being played. With the largest selection of odds on everything from the MLB, NHL, and UFC, BetOnline remains the number one online source for all your sports wagering information. In between games, head over to BetOnline Casino with all the top Vegas-style games, including poker and live casino. BetOnline, the game starts here.